Welcome to Shalom World Podcast.
Welcome to the latest episode of Family Podcasts on Shalom World's Podcasts.
This is Mike and Alicia Hernon of the Messy Family Project.
Today we're talking about a topic that is on the hearts and minds of a lot of parents, something we all struggle with: technology, smartphones. How do we deal with this in our homes? I feel like so many days that all I want to do is just take all the devices and throw them out.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that in future generations, people in heaven are saying, right, we parented in very challenging times, but you guys have got these devices that are just causing even more strife within the home, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, but can we use technology with virtue? Can we pass on real virtue for our kids? Or is it something we should just banish from our homes forever?
Because it is very tempting to just take all of the screens and throw them out. But the thing is, our job as parents is to train our children. And technology is here to stay. And so if they learn how to use computers, smartphones, screens with virtue under your roof, that is the right place for parents. That is the right place for parents to teach their children how to operate in this world and use technology in a way really that glorifies God.
We are honored to have our special guest, Dr. Eugene Gan, a professor of communications and fine arts at Franciscan University. You're an author. You've got a lot on this, but you're also a dad. You know,
I certainly am.
And so thanks for being with us today to talk about this really challenging topic. Because as we just heard, there are so many different issues that are conflicting within our home, right? There are days when I just want to take all the devices and throw them away, right?
Absolutely.
And there is the blessing and the curse of technology. But why is it that we as parents are so frustrated sometimes? Why are we so caught up in this issue of dealing with technology and media and all that comes with it?
For the record, being a dad, I cannot stress enough how much it's a frustration for me as well.
Well, that's good to know. And
Okay, so we're not
you're
alone.
the expert on technology, so that's good.
Right. And
this
also
stuff.
for the record, not only do I teach this stuff, even before teaching, I was working
Sure.
in the media technology industry for more than a decade. So media was my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I will even share this to our audience, that when I was working in the media, and I was actually discerning priesthood at that point in time. I was thinking, Lord, are you calling me to the priesthood? And when my spiritual director said, finally, he said, it's marriage. And I said, where am I supposed to meet my beloved? And there was just this one conference I was at, this charismatic prayer conference I was at, and there was this beautiful elderly nun who was there, the sister who was there, and she was praying for me. She said, I'll pray for you on this. And she was in front of our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, and she said, go to this online website. And my goodness, here I was in the media and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I really don't want to do this. Everything was just not fitting right for me. But as I prayed about it, again, in front of our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, I just heard the words, just as I called Peter at his job, I'm calling you at yours.
Wow.
And it did a couple of things for me. One thing that it did for me was to say to me, you know what? You're in the media. Stop griping. Stop complaining about how bad it is.
Yeah.
Start looking as to why I've given it to you. Why I've given you this gift.
Right.
And the other thing was I actually ended up going on to this online dating website. It was
And
a
I'm
Catholic
assuming
website.
that's where you met your wife.
And that's where I met my wife. It was
God
amazing.
uses technology, right?
He uses technology one step after the other, and that's where I met her.
Yes.
But it also did another thing. It also got me going back to Scripture, searching it with a fine-tooth comb for every mention of media technology. Because I'll give you a quick example.
Yeah.
In the beginning was the Word. Why Word? Wasn't it, in the beginning was God or something? In the beginning
Or the
was
Spirit
the Word.
or something like that.
Yeah. And here we have the Word. That's media right there. There is the sound of the Word. There is the communication of the Word. And from there, I started looking into church documents, magistral documents, and it's just beautiful things about what media technology is.
Because I think a lot of times we look at in our homes and we just look at technology very defensively. At
Right.
least that's the way I
Yes.
think of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I just need to keep my kids off of video games as long as possible. I
That's
need
right.
to keep them off of their screens as much as possible, to the point where it almost becomes like the enemy. But that doesn't feel right, because if God allowed this technology to be created, it must be able to be used for good, right?
That's right.
And
Is
it
that
can-
true?
That is true, and we're right there because in fact, media is really matter.
Yeah.
It's something that matters. It's something that is of substance. And if we look at how even Jesus healed the man, and how he spat into the ground, mixed it up with mud, put it
Yeah.
on his eyes, and healed him. I mean, he didn't have to do that. He could have, I don't know,
Right.
wiggled his nose, and a little reference there to an old TV show, or he could have snapped his fingers or something, and yet he chose not to do that. He chose to use matter to heal. And so we're dealing with matter as well. And of course, theologically, we could look at that passage as a reference to Genesis, when God created from the earth.
Right.
But then, as a media professional, I was looking at that and seeing how God chooses to show himself through matter, through
Right.
through the media, through people, places, and things, actually.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to use us, but he does.
But he chooses,
does.
and he honors
chooses
us
to.
with
He
that.
honors matter. He honors us. He honors the media. You might even say, mediates himself to us. The media, he mediates himself to us through people, places, and things.
Right, right.
And that's where we start to see where media has its place. Do you know how the Catholic Church defines communication? It's an amazing definition.
Okay.
Okay,
Please.
go ahead. Give it.
We're on the edge of the
waiting.
seats.
The Catholic Church defines communication as love.
Really?
That to communicate is to love. That Jesus Christ is the ultimate medium and message. He is love, and he's the ultimate medium because he is God, and he's the ultimate message because he's the Word.
Yeah.
Do you see how it all starts to come together?
Right.
There's this wonderful theological and yet very
Yeah.
practical.
Well, you're kind of like answering this question that I kept thinking in my mind, is that why is media and technology so powerful? And
Yeah,
you're kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
getting there.
That's
because
right.
that's why I think that some parents get intimidated by it, because it is
It is
affects
powerful.
our
It can
children.
influence us. It can be
That's right.
persuasive.
Yes,
to
it
persuade us.
affects us. It affects our children so powerfully, and sometimes that's a little scary. Why is it so powerful?
Yes, well, it is powerful simply because it's a gift from God. You know, there is a saying back in the Middle Ages, corruptio optimi pessima, which means the corruption of the best is the worst of all.
The
Corruption of the best is the worst of all.
Okay.
You know, media is such a gift from God. In fact, that phrase, gift from God, has been used in the church documents ever since the first official church documents about social communications or media technologies. And that was Vigilante Cura. We could come back to Vigilante Cura in a moment, but just to get back to this corruption of the best is the worst of all, it's precisely because media is so good that it's being
Yes.
attacked by the enemy.
Yeah.
For example, the
Yeah.
family is good.
Right.
It's being
Yes.
attacked by the enemy.
That's right.
The
That's right.
enemy attacks what is good.
And tries to subvert and try
And-
to twist and manipulate it
And
use it for
manipulate
its
it.
own ends.
That's right. If it weren't good, the enemy wouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's
and I think
excellent
that's
point.
really a hard dose of reality that you're giving us. So I shouldn't throw away everything on media and technology, is what you're
It's certainly
saying.
not a baby with the bathwater. Absolutely.
Because the church wants us, but it's also been a gift of God.
It
and,
is.
And that, so if we start with that,
That's right.
and then we say, okay, but it's obviously clearly gotten off the tracks.
That's right.
And so I think for us as parents to get really kind of like, okay, so now we've got this idea. We've challenged a lot of people in their thinking of what media really is. Now let's talk about how do we steward media? What kind of ways should we
Practical
approach
ideas.
this? Practical ideas. How can we apply and use it well without it being manipulated and used to be the worst?
Yeah. The short answer is the 7 media keys that the church has proposed to us over and over
7
again.
media keys.
The church's 7 media keys.
Okay.
Okay, and these are letters from mom to her children all across the globe, all over the world.
They apply to everyone.
They apply to everyone, not just for one particular country, across the culture, and really speaks to us as human beings created in His image and likeness. You start to see a pattern.
Okay.
Right.
Mom is saying in those love letters to us certain things, the media equivalent of "don't jump on the couch," and we're not listening. That's why she keeps repeating it.
Yeah.
These 7 keys ended up being an acrostic for the word baptism. Which is
nice.
to immerse.
Okay.
Like, we want to immerse the media.
I say, we want to baptize the media.
You want to
redeem
baptize
it.
the media.
Yeah.
Immerse it in the graces of God, because He has given this to us as gifts. Like I said, the church has always used that phrase, gift of God. The media technology is gift of God. And so just briefly, those 7 keys are baptism. So we talk about balance. There needs to be a balanced view, not throw it out completely. There's so much more to balance. Even the word Catholic, we think of the word Catholic. What does the word Catholic mean? There is a reason why the early church didn't use the word universal, which comes from the root words unum vitare, unum meaning a point, vitare meaning to go around. So you would form a circle. That means universal. But in the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, the early church used the word Catholicos, the Greek Catholicos, which means throughout the whole. There are no boundaries. With Catholicos, there's no boundary. Okay. So that's really at the crux of what it means to be balanced. No boundaries, no fear, with courage, be bold, go out and see what this media is about, and decide and discern.
Nice.
Okay, so that's the balance.
That's the balance. And then we get into the attitude. The attitude is, well, what's my attitude, coming at this? Because as parents, kids read us.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're intelligent enough to see what
For
our
good or
attitudes
for bad.
are. For good or for bad.
Yeah, whether we want them to. Yeah, exactly.
We're the models for them.
Yes.
And so we need to check our attitudes. What's our attitude? It's likely the same thing that would flow. And then there's P for personalism. Does it uphold human dignity, the person?
That's so important.
And then there's T for truth-filled. How truth-filled is this? And of course, as Catholics, we define truth as what God has taught us, what He has revealed to us in His Word. And then truth, and then there's the I for inspires. That media is a sign. Its job is meant to point us to something. It's not meant to be the destination. Media is such a powerful sign that can point us to heaven.
Yeah.
So media is a sign. It inspires in a certain direction.
That's very true.
And I think that's part of the power too, is because you want to inspire to things that are good.
That's right.
Not inspire to things that are bad or depressing or corrupting.
Right.
Exactly. And then M?
And M is motivated by a particular experience, a human experience, or a specific audience.
Okay.
So if the media does not touch us, it's not effective for us.
Okay.
You know,
So
we
it's the
really
affect of it.
we need
It's
to know the
the
affect of it.
okay.
What does it motivate in us?
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So now we have these 7 keys, right, that the church has
I
really
love
laid
it.
out.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you do this in your book as well, I know. But so then we take it to parents.
Yes.
And are you looking at devices? Let's again going down to even just the very practical level of
Like guidelines, you mean?
Yeah, like when we look at young parents or parents with young children, right?
Of which I still have the
Yeah.
young
So
ones.
it's like so technology is all around us.
Yes.
So I think we've established that we want to be able to work with it, but how young is too young to start getting our kids having handheld devices, smartphones, and how
Screens, you
soon
mean?
screens as a whole, right? Because I mean, we see some psychological, some medical stuff that just talks about how long you need to really wait before they're too captivated, because kids become addicted to devices pretty quickly, and I think every parent who knows that it's a great pacifier. We used to call it the electronic babysitter. You could put your kid down and they could be happy for a while and give you some peace, which there is some value in that for a home, the peace in the home. But we want to make sure we're balancing their formation properly. So how early is too early to start with screens in your case?
There's so many points you brought up there that I just wanted to address. My goodness, great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, different bodies have different ages set up here. So the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they're saying 18 months. But there is no real concrete research that defines precisely. These are really guesses, estimates. I would as a Catholic parent, be more concerned about what prayer as a family is leading us to, especially when the kids are old enough, especially teenagers, and here's a tip for our parents, to encourage family together, discerning the media together.
Okay.
And getting the kids to do that. Because
Excellent. I love that idea.
Because as we're praying together about it, we also will get that sense, especially if we're authentically living our faith. And so the kids will get a sense themselves as well as Holy Spirit.
Because we're teaching them how to discern.
And we're teaching them how to discern.
Yeah.
So I would go through these 7 keys with them. What do you think of the balance? What's the attitude here? What's the is it upholding the personalism? Is it upholding human dignity? Where's the truth here? Is there truth here? Where is it inspiring us toward? Is it skillfully made?
I love that. That's
where is
great.
it motivated us to? And to try to even get the young ones involved.
Because that's one of the things that we talk to parents a lot about is the fact that technology is here to stay.
Yes.
Right,
And if
right.
we don't teach our children how to be discerning in their use of technology, we are not preparing them
Right. For
the
to live
world.
as an adult in this world.
As a Christian,
because we're always going to have
disciple.
smartphones. I mean, just we're going to, and who knows what's coming down the pike. And so really what we have to do as parents is exactly what you're saying, is to teach them how to be discerning and give them those guidelines. And I've never thought about, as a family, having that conversation. I think that is absolutely very
So
important.
taking it to a higher level here.
So thank you so much for introducing those 7 keys, because I feel like that's an excellent framework.
Well, and there's so much more we could cover. Protecting our devices from all the sewage that is out in the world.
Yes.
Filters on our device.
Yes.
Like we as Catholics need to make sure that we are fortifying our home from the encroachment.
Especially as dads.
Yes, that's a part of our job, right?
This is part of protecting.
Yeah, can you talk to
Absolutely.
that a little bit? Just about, because there is so much that comes in. So we have the keys, but there's also some walls that we should put up.
Yeah.
It's not,
There
some
are
things
walls,
are,
Yeah, the Catholic Church has often talked about how, in the end, filtering is not the optimum solution. It is a great solution in the interim, but in the end, what we want to get to is the filtering of our own minds and our hearts and our eyes. In the end, we want to be the guardians of that ourselves, and we want to teach our children how to do
Parents
that.
are the best filter.
Parents are the best filter, and teaching them how to do
Yes,
that.
yes,
And so it
ultimately.
is by our example. How much are we giving in? How much do we use our phone? How much time do we
being
give?
distracted.
Distracted.
There is so much that the good habits, really, that we
Absolutely.
have to model for our children, including filtering, including turning away from things that are bad, and
That's right.
saying no to, the exposure and allowing certain things into our homes.
That's right. Time is precious, and it's a gift from God. And if we're spending all our time in the media and not in prayer, it weakens us.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
again, that whole prayer, encountering Christ in the media,
Yeah,
infinite bandwidth.
there's so much more we could unpack. Eugene, thank you for
Absolutely.
being with us today. And everyone, you want to stay tuned as we kind of wrap up and give you some high-level tips for you as parents in dealing with technology.
Come together, we're all family.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that episode. I feel like there's so much that we as parents need to talk about and think about with regards to technology and using technology with great virtue. One of the things I love that Dr. Eugene Gan did was unpack the 7 keys. The 7 keys for us as individuals, as families, to unpack how to look at media and technology. And so now we want to look at some ideas for you to implement in your home. First, I think we need to start with the simple idea that we recognize that technology is a powerful gift of God and should be used for good. That we need to embrace and understand how to use this virtuously and effectively in our home.
And the second idea to remember is that tech is here to stay. And so we as parents, it is our responsibility to train our children how to discern and how to use technology with virtue. I mean, I know it's a great temptation to take all of the technology and just throw it out sometimes. We can get so frustrated, but that's not the right way to prepare our children for the world. We need to train our children how to use them in a virtuous way.
And the third idea for you to implement is discern your technology use as a family. This is a great tool. And I love the way he presented this. Talking around even the dinner table with your kids and walking through those 7 keys so that you're not only teaching your children, but you're actually empowering them with tools that they can discern on their own. Ask them, how does this apply? How does this uphold the dignity of that person? How is this leading towards truth? How is this inspiring us towards great things? Using this is a great tool not only to teach, but also empower our kids to be discerning.
And our last idea to implement is don't be naive. We need to stay on top of what our kids are watching. We need to stay on top of what they are engaging with. When something new comes out, when there's new music out there, there's new technologies being developed all the time. We have to be on top of those because it is our responsibility to guide them and to prepare them for the world in front of them.
We hope this episode has been a blessing to you. And if it has, we ask you prayerfully consider supporting Shalom World so we can create more episodes, more shows like this that will serve families throughout the world.
Yeah, we've been excited and honored to partner with Shalom World on this. And we want to invite you and really encourage you to make a donation in support of Shalom World. No gift is too small and no gift is too large. We'll take all donations to support Shalom World and continue to evangelize the culture.
I hope you really enjoyed our conversation with Dr. Eugene Gan and that you really take all of these tips that we're giving you, all of this practical advice, and take that and use it as a food for conversation with your spouse. Because as we talked about, discerning with your family your use of technology is so very important. And it doesn't have to end with just hearing all this information and letting it wash over you. Take this information and do something with it. Use it to talk to your spouse, use it to talk to your children. So this can really make a difference in your family life.
Yeah, and you won't want to miss the next episode. We're going to be talking about evangelizing your children. This is a perennial topic and concern for parents. Learn how you can keep your kids faithful and Catholic. And until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Have a suggestion for us? Drop us an email at podcast@shalomworld.org. Your donations help us bring incredible podcasts like these. A little goes a long way. Do consider making a donation today. shalomworld.org/donate. Follow @Shalom World Podcasts on Instagram to know when we're dropping the next episode. Head out, spread the word, and stay blessed.
Shalom World Podcasts is now available on all online platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and others.